This is John Carrots on OSH Radio, and I'm here today with Jennifer Huse, which is the independent candidate for mayor of Camden, New Jersey. I normally say Jersey, but I'll say New Jersey for those of us that don't know. And this is my actually second episode of the Transhumanists and Cafes Having Coffee. See, so we are at
beautiful little cafe here.
What'd you say?
So we have our beautiful little cafe here.
Yeah, and you want to tell people what the name of it is? And
Nuanced Cafe.
this is one of your favorite hangouts, right?
Yeah, it's new. It's only been open for the last couple months, but it's very relaxing and there's a lot of inspirational stuff around too. So I guess it's kind of both relaxing and inspiring at the same time.
Now, I know you've done some things with Transhumanists before. I interviewed you before along with other people from the party.
Yes.
And you were on one of the salons recently.
Yes.
Now, maybe you could tell us a little bit. You're running for independent mayor of Camden. What brought that about? What made you want to run for the mayor of Camden?
Actually, what probably originally started it was a friend suggested it to me that we've been working with for years here, and he's lived and worked here for over a decade, like 13, 14 years. And my husband and I both have been involved a lot with social system redesign, city planning, community planning, and in general volunteering and things like that. And I guess, we kind of talk about it a lot. So our friend had actually suggested for me to run because, quite possibly would give us a chance to really implement a lot of things here in Camden that would be able to fix it. We have a large network of people that work in all different areas in regards to things that you can do to really upgrade the city. So we looked into it. I had to look into the feasibility of did we want to spend our time and money and things like that on this run, if it would even be feasible. So we took a look into it and thought about it and discussed it and decided to give it a try.
So I know one of your big things that you're pushing against is housing.
Yes.
And that's one of your big issues you're working on. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. Well, there's a number of different things that we want to do in regard to housing here. I think we have a little bit of a unique perspective for a number of reasons, but also we work in home renovations. So we also have a homelessness issue here in Camden, and we also have a lot of abandoned houses here in Camden. And so it kind of has a couple components, but our very first thing that we're looking to do is make sure that we don't have anybody that's homeless, because obviously if you're homeless, it drastically affects your quality of life. You're exposed to the elements, you're exposed to bugs, you're exposed to potentially something, happening to you as some sort of violence, exposure to diseases and things like that you might not be when you have a secure home. So we're looking to immediately work on having everybody that doesn't have a house homed. Also to make sure, sometimes people are not exactly homeless, they have a lot of housing insecurity. So maybe they're having trouble paying their bills, or they're staying with someone, on a couch, and they don't have their own place. So to make sure that those people also have stability in housing. And then another aspect too is just to make sure not only just having the house, but a lot of times there's utility instability, and we also have a problem here over on the East Coast a lot with having things like lead pipes in the older houses and knob and tube electric. That can be dangerous in older houses. So really trying to make sure that people have, that everybody in our city has housing, and that they have stability in the housing and safe, utilities and things like that. And then another aspect we're looking to do is to try and retain the houses that are on the city books, and also any houses that might be for sale, instead of having them all just going out to investors. Again, not that we have any issue with investors, but if we are able to keep them on the books and repair them instead of just letting them go for very small amounts, this is a way that we can build up assets for the city and also be able to have more housing to offer to people in the city that want it. And then another aspect is for persons, not just making sure that they have a clean and safe house, a roof over their heads, but also putting in accessible programs for people to be able to become the owner of the properties themselves. Not everybody is going to be able to go through traditional bank loans and things like that just because of life, but there are other things that can be done. There's seller financing, which in this case, it may be the city that's considered the seller, or we may work with nonprofits and those would be the seller. There's rent with the option to buy. A lot of times people are stuck with rents that are significantly higher even than a mortgage would be on a house for them, and that way it's hard for them to be able to get ahead to save for down payments and things like that. So we just want to explore every possible option that we have where we can start to have the people that are in Camden be able to start to become more of like the shareholders, if you will, of
Make
Camden.
them have stakes in it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and they at least have their own house that they can work toward owning and have passed for that, and maybe even other ones if they're interested in becoming, investors or something like that also. And then the other thing sort of involved with that is, but it's more of maybe an employment opportunity, would be that we're looking to train people in different renovations works. So learning how to do, for example, painting, sheetrocking, installations, floor repairs, and things like that might not need a tiling, that may not need licensing, and then they can learn quickly, and that will be able to pay them a good amount of money, and then all the way up to other positions that they are interested that maybe may take longer, like electrician or plumber and things like that. So really, there's a lot that we can do with these houses for the people that live here.
And as we talked before about, you'd like to implement some programs that would last beyond your term in office.
Yes.
Hopefully you could go 1 term, 2 terms, but things that'll last longer than that and help the people. You're trying to actually fix things, not just put a Band-Aid on it.
Yes.
So,
yes, very much so. And it's very important that the programs are able to continue past our administration. As you know, with politics, there could maybe someone just wants to come in for no reason and just undo everything that the administration did before them, or something like that, or they just put a halt to it when they stop. So those would definitely have to be set up so that contractually and legally that they're able to continue, for people.
now, as in the past we've mentioned that Democrats kind of had a lockdown on Camden. So you're hoping to give them a fresh new insight with being an independent. And so hopefully the people will bite at that and be happy with that.
Yeah.
That, nothing against Democrats, but just to give them a choice here. What I've heard is Republicans don't even run, and basically Democrats kind of just, whoever runs as a Democrat gets the nomination for the past number of terms.
Yes. There hasn't been any independents or Republicans that have run in at least the last 6 elections that I looked up. From what I hear, it's even longer than that. What typically happens is there's a few Democratic candidates that run for the primary, and then whoever wins the primary automatically becomes mayor, because there's nobody else to vote for in the general except that Democratic nominee, and so they win every election. There's no Republican candidate, no independent candidate, nothing. So in this case, I did think about potentially running Democratic and going that way, because we here aren't able to run on any other party except Democratic or Republican. We can't run on any independent parties.
So you have to be independent. You can't be a third party like
Can't
a Green
be.
or a
Yep.
Libertarian.
Nope.
Or the Transhumanist Party.
Nothing. Yeah. no other parties. So, I did, think about it a little bit, but just with the way that the elections had gone and things like that, I just decided to try it completely independently and see how that goes, and then they can have their nominee, and then as I would be the independent nominee to go against them in the
Now,
general.
I do know, now this is Transhumanists in a cafe having coffee. You do have your coffee
I do.
there.
My iced
And,
coffee.
but now I do know you do have the backing from the U.S. Transhumanist Party.
I do, yeah. I just got that actually very recently. I think really just the week before last, the end of the week before
And that
last.
works so, well with your thoughts on supporting the people with
Yeah.
everything. What got you interested in views of the Transhumanist Party and being a transhumanist?
Oh man, wow! I've been affiliated with them for so long. I'm trying to think what originally got me. I think originally, what probably got me interested was their views toward life extension. They're really the only party at all that's talking about healthy life extension for anyone. I'm not saying there isn't anyone, but I haven't even heard of any candidates at all that have ever had, parties that have ever had any kind of life extension in their topics. And then just more and more that I got to know about them, it isn't just life extension that they care about. It's really anything that helps us to transcend past the limitations that we have. And that's really important because that really covers everything. Because everything that is negatively affecting people is a limitation to their progress and a limitation to their quality of life and enjoyment of life. So, not having a house is a limitation.
Right, that affects your lifespan if you're living on the street.
Yes, exactly.
Not only just lifespan, but not only length of life, but quality of life.
Exactly.
And
the
healthcare.
stress, yeah. Not having healthcare, not having there's a lot of even more progressive stances that they have in regards to a lot of things that are starting to change now, finally, in some places. But even in regards to the war on drugs, not having your own anonymity to do things with your own body. Of course, that has nothing to do with any kind of thing that's hurting someone else or in regards to someone else, but not necessarily ripping people away from their family and throwing them into a cage and giving them a felony that sticks with them for the rest of life for something that they just chose to do for themselves. And so it really covers really anything that is going to help us transcend past these limitations, and the fact that it's for everyone. It's not just for a small group of people that you're trying to improve their life. You're trying to improve the quality of every single person's life. So
I think that's something that people miss when they hear about transhumanists. They think about the science. They think about people freezing themselves to be thawed out, and they don't realize there's a lot more that goes into that.
Mm-hmm.
It's you can't walk before you crawl, sort of thing, and
yeah.
Regular health care and people having lives where their lives are taken care of, that in itself can extend life.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's steps have to go, and you have to be concerned with your fellow man and taking care of them.
Yes. I think sometimes they hear the name and the name sounds a little strange because it's shortened down to make it into a name, so they don't, or maybe unclear. They don't realize that it means transcending humanity's limitations. I think maybe it's not a typical name, but once you really look into it.
I think people don't forget that we've always tried to extend our lives and our ability to live, and that's been a natural thing in man.
Of course.
Just like
an antibiotic is trying to, increase your lifespan, or else you would let yourself die of a bacterial infection. Any improvement.
No, of course, I'm a space explorer advocate, and I think it's funny where people forget how humans have been explorers. We've been travelers, and people think, oh, why do we want to go to Mars? Because actually, people do want to explore. They do want to do things. You'd be surprised that when people can do it, there's probably going to be a lot of people going out and wanting to mine the asteroid belt.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
just like in the
I'm
old
sure.
days, and you think, well, it's not good for you, but there's going to be people that are going to want to do it.
Yeah.
The old mining days wasn't healthy for people, and they wanted to do it. It's going to be the same thing.
I heard about a planet where the soil is diamond. There's no soil, it's diamond. And I was like, huh, I wonder if they're going to go try to
Yeah,
mine
but once
that
they do
planet
that,
eventually.
but once they do that, diamonds won't be worth it as much.
Yeah.
When there was a Twilight Zone one time, I think, where a guy went to the future and his dollar bill he had in the bank expanded exponentially because it was at the time when the dollar was based on gold.
Oh,
Well, then he went back to sleep again and came back in the far future, and well, an asteroid had gone over and turned almost everything on Earth to gold.
so it wasn't worth anything.
So all he had left was his one original dollar.
Aw.
But I mean, if we have too much of it, it goes the other way.
Yeah.
So November is when the election's going to be.
Yeah.
And how are you? I know you're out getting signatures. How many signatures do you have so far?
Pretty close to the amount that they're require us to have, but they did suggest that we get double. So
Get extra, yeah.
So I'm just gonna go and
Keep
get
going
more.
and-
Yeah, I have till June 7th to turn.
June 7th. So everything's going good though.
Yeah, it's going great.
That
so
is
far.
great. You're going out every day, or
No, mostly. Sometimes there's some other things that I have to do in between, but yeah.
be out every day. I had said to you earlier when we were talking to ourselves, I had been working on an election in my town, and
Yeah.
you go out and you're surprised sometimes how people react that you even know.
Yeah.
You know, it's it's
Everybody's
like-
been a really, kind, even if some people are, just maybe aren't political at all or, whatever. But I think too, it's because for this is not even necessarily a vote. It's just a chance, to go up against the person. So I think people are pretty willing to give.
I think they hopefully want to
Really
see some
chance.
fresh blood and some fresh thoughts and some new ideas. And
Yeah.
So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background. What has brought you to this point? What has brought you to this point of wanting to be mayor?
Well,
I think you hit on that a little bit in the beginning, but
I have, basically also a background of missionary work and volunteering, so that's kind of been most of my life. It's
so you've proven in your life that you do want to help people and put yourself out there to help people, and that's good. That's
Yeah.
good for them to know that you mean something about your campaigns
Yeah.
and stuff. And
Yeah, it's kind of something I've always had since I was a little kid. I just always wanted to make the world better, and especially wanted to do things to improve people's quality of life. Sickness and death. I was a very weird little kid. I was just like in the library reading biology books all the time, trying to see what we could do to make people's quality of life better. So, so that, and then I have my husband and I both have done social system volunteering with social system design and city planning and community planning for at least the last decade. So and a lot of times we are spinning it trying to reach the politicians all the time. When you're an activist or an advocate or working in things where you're trying to propose quality of life changes and social system changes for people, you're always trying to reach the politicians, and maybe one says something in one of their speeches and you're like, oh, maybe they're like someone that you could reach out to, or something like that, and trying to see if they'll implement these changes in their town or city or state or country, even if you're able to reach them, and it's very hard to get through to that, and especially if they don't have that mindset already, if you can even reach them, and if they don't have that mindset already, it's hard to change someone's mindset to if quality of life for your people and caring about societal improvements for your people is not something that you care about already. It can be hard to change their mind over to that. So,
well, it's interesting with some programs. I know they say it's socialism, and they say if give people things that's going to deter them from working.
Yeah.
But yet, I remember, I hate to say this, I'm old enough to have gone through the Amway program a couple
Oh,
times.
yeah.
And Amway had a story where they said if you took all the money away from everybody, you would find out that most of the rich people would be rich again because of their desire to work and do things. And I do think that's true. I don't think it's necessarily going to deter people. Some programs that people think is socialism aren't going to deter people from working.
Sure.
But it's just going to give
Absolutely
people
not.
a baseline that helps them have a better quality of life.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you're going to find that people that like to work.
And you can notice even where you look at areas either around the nation or around the world, if you're comparing where the quality of life is the highest, unemployment is very low. You know what I mean? Where they have, a lot of social systems, societal issues that have already been met. Where they have healthcare, they have schooling, education paid for them. They have a very low crime rate. They have no instances of police brutality. They have worked out, homelessness. They've worked out poverty, extreme poverty, and things like that. And it isn't that nobody wants to do anything. It's just that they don't have that crushing stress, and maybe yes, they've worked vacations into their time, and yes, they do take vacation time and relax and things like that. But they just don't have that constant crushing stress. It really can.
Some of the stress can deter people from working.
Yes, that's exactly
Or
what I
make
was
it
gonna say.
hard. And
Yeah.
some people can enjoy the stress though, but
Yeah.
it's different people though. But still though, I don't think that it shows that people don't work.
Yeah.
And if you look at other countries where there's programs that support the people, they still work.
Yeah.
They're still doing plenty of things.
Exactly. In
It's,
fact, their unemployment's probably lower.
It's interesting. I always joke about statistics. Statistics can be used to support anything,
Yeah.
including statisticians. That's what they always say. So, I think on your website you had an article about the Camden police being a great example of police.
Yes.
And I read that earlier today, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm very excited, hopefully, to work with them. It's a very important thing to me that police actually serve the community and work with them and look at them as people that they want to protect instead of, oppress. And I think year after year, our police here have been trying to put in more and more steps in order to police, do community policing more, and really are open to ideas on how to do de-escalation and community policing, those kinds of things. And they, repeatedly have said that they want to be an example of community policing for the nation. So that's very encouraging.
I have to admit, last time I was here, I got in an argument with a policeman. But
Aw.
I was here I remember last time I was here was for Cage the Elephant concert.
Oh.
And I was trying to just figure out what the policeman was doing, moving the cones around. And he accused me of trying to run him over. And
Oh dear.
I'm thinking, really, if I really wanted to run you over, I think I could have done it.
Oh.
But it was short-lived. I think, to be honest with you, when they're setting up cones and moving traffic around, when a lot of people are coming in for concerts, that's stressful for
Yeah.
them also.
Very. Yeah.
But
They're told, how they have to do it, and
I have to admit, that's one of my favorite things to come to Camden for is concerts.
There's a lot of people's. A lot of people really like the concerts that they have here. But yeah, so that's very encouraging because the fact that they just they keep saying that they want to be an example to the nation. There's so much that you can do, in regards to that. So, and there's even persons in other nations that have completely worked, brutality out, and they really do just have community policing that would be willing, to help put in tips because, why not try to really bring yourself to the top? You don't always just have to bring yourself to the top quality in the nation even, if other places around the world are already doing different things, you can even look outside of that and try to bring yourself obviously to the highest quality in everything. That's the same thing with health. You know what I mean? Water, like pollution, you know, water quality. You can look at the top of the nation, or you can look at the top, you know, in the world.
I'm an environmental engineer, so I love environment and water quality.
Yeah, you know, so you can
So it's
always
important.
strive for that, you know. And,
It's important for quality of health and happiness for the people too.
yeah, well, we're water systems, so it's very important. People don't even know how important really it is to for us to
You
have
gotta
water.
take care of the water quality,
Yeah.
drinking water, and you also take care of the wastewater, because
Yeah.
if the wastewater is not properly treated and it goes back out, that affects the water quality also. So
Exactly.
it's a loop there. You gotta watch all the things.
All of it, and you have to be very careful. You know, even there's things like you know, like happening in Flint, and you know, that really all that could have been avoided. Not that they still should have had the lead pipes replaced and things like that, but you know, that was all because of not putting in a softener additive. And so if they had not skimped on that additive that they needed to add each day, it wouldn't have stripped the pipe so bad and caused such a problem that it caused. So you have to really double, triple check everything that goes on like that in regard to, you know, water, air, food, and things like that. Because these are very, very important, basic quality of life things that everybody needs.
Yeah, when I had been here, I just remember for KG Elephant, that was through a organization I help out with charities called Propeller.la. People should look at it. It's a win-win kind of an organization, but it's good for charities, talking about charities and charity work. Now, after you're mayor, let's say you're mayor 2 terms. How many terms can you be mayor here?
Indefinitely.
Oh, indefinitely. So you're mayor for life.
Hopefully.
But after that life, where might you want to go? Would you run for the House, the Senate? Are you interested in running for governor in the future, or is that too early to tell?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy to stay on a citywide level. I have no idea. Hopefully, you know, with that position, you're able to make such a big impact. You could reach out to other mayors. Again, you get to speak to governors and things like that. If you are putting in stuff for your city and making really good improvements, then you really can make an example to other places. And when they're seeing that it's done, you may be able to just help. So maybe I would like to just help consult.
So maybe instead of
places.
moving up politically, you'd like to maybe make coalitions and,
I think
and
so.
groups of like-minded people that can help and be a good example for other mayors and other
You
surrounding
training,
information.
helping, maybe train
Keep
people.
helping your community.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Always remember where you're from and keep yourself in the roots. You want to do that. That's very good.
Yeah.
That's nice for people to know, because that lets them know that you're here to help them.
Yeah.
You're not just here to move up politically.
Yeah, I mean, even the political thing, you know, I've done some political reforms before, where I've helped to write these political forms. Actually, the Transhumanist Party voted some of them into their policies for the party, and I've consulted with different independent parties to help them and stuff like that. But going into it was never even really something that particularly was on my radar that much, because I've always just done activism, you know, and advocacy and activism, and they're kind of different different from each other. But again, you know, always trying to reach the politicians here and there, politicians and celebrities, you know, and things like that. I guess I
And
really
celebrity
didn't even
support
think,
can help because they can get people's attention,
if you can get through to
even
them.
if it's just a local celebrity.
Yeah, if you can get through to them, you know, and really it was a friend of mine that suggested it, and you know, at first I was like, politics, you know, kind of, you know, and then I thought about it and looked into it, and I saw that it is feasible, you know, that this is not a town where, you know, you have to get millions and millions of votes, or sorry, I assume you have to get millions and millions of votes or something like that. And also our population size here is feasible in that we can really bring these changes in and change the quality of life for everyone quickly, because this is not 3 million, 4 million, 8 million, you know, that you're trying to do. And also where our location is, there's a lot of people that will actually have already expressed interest from so many different industries in coming together to help.
So we're right about at a half hour here. What would you like to say in closing and tell the people so they know something about you to maybe get out there and vote in November? What is it, November 2nd or?
Yeah. Anyone that's local, sure. You know, if anyone, I'm still in the signature collecting phase too. So if anybody wants to come and get their signature, I have on my website. I have my phone number listed. I have my
Or maybe you
email.
want to state your websites and stuff?
It's www.jahformayor.com. It's jahformayor.com. It's my initials. And I have my phone number, my email, so you can call me, text me, even if it's not to come get a signature. If you just want to call and talk to me about
You got some stuff on Facebook?
Yeah, we have some social media you can get to from. You can get to that from the website also. And if anybody wants, to help, and basically it's just going to be finishing up the signature part and then just keeping going for the vote part. So anybody that wants to help or anyone that's local that wants to vote, of course, there's all kinds of different ways to help. Can share in social media or come in person or donate or anything. Basically, donations we're using just for actually doing just marketing stuff. We have the website already, but flyers, door hanger signs, and it's just things to really get my name around since we're not working with a larger party, so that's about it.
Well, in closing, thank you very much, and hopefully people get to know you better from this, and hopefully also you can spread this out there, and maybe other people will get the one interview and start more of a buzz.
Yeah.
I wish you plenty of luck and hope to help you and work with you more in the future.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.